How'd you do that? Oh, okay, cool.
I already disabled papers.
Show me how you did it in yours.
She already disabled it.
Oh, it's not the next one. It is.
Let's see.
I don't know how they get back.
Okay, well, next time we get papers.
Okay, so we have your Samantha.
No, pardon me?
Samantha? Yeah, no, again? Tehila. Tehila. Okay, there we go. Tehila and Chana. Chaya. And let's see. Sarah Abigail.
No, I'm Erica.
Let's see.
What?
Let's see. Liba Rivka. Also. And, let's see. Okay, okay, let me just have the names again. So, hold on. Okay. You want to know? Again? Nadia, okay, welcome. Okay, and okay, I got you. So that was Samantha. Okay. And there was Rivka and Brother. Chedva. That's Chedva. Okay, okay. We're using this book. I guess we have them in the next room. Tires. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Are you allowed to scrape your skin and walk around? Sorry.
We started.
Good question.
We
Okay.
started with the questions.
Okay, page 219. 219. And that is the Mishkan. They had the tying and untying. So we had that with the nets, and they were going to trap the sea creature. So then they tied the nets in a way that it could have been made larger and then made smaller. So it was untying. And the tying of the nets was something that was done on a permanent basis and also professionally. It should not become undone. So tying is one of the malachas. And then we have to have the the definition of what is considered forbidden tying and what is permissible. So we have the okay, so tying it once around, taking two ends and tying it once. Okay. This is not considered tying halachically because, as you can see, as soon as I let my hands go, it falls down. It's not really, this is not a lasting tying in any way. So therefore, tying it this way once is permissible, even if it's not going to be undone. That is permissible. Another thing that's permissible is something that we call, what is it called? This is called a slip knot. How do I do it undone? So this again is not considered, does not go into this category. This is also something that is permissible. So if you put a slip knot on something, even if you don't tend to untie it, it is permissible to be left on Shabbos. So this is permissible. Now we come to what is forbidden. What is forbidden is something that's called a professional knot. And definition, most of us do not go camping and make the special knots that it would be with the special. So halachically, when we tie it once and we tie it a second time, and we pull it tight, that is a double knot. And if we pull it tight, that's not going to become undone. So therefore, we consider that a knot that is forbidden, even if you intend to open it at a short time later, but the fact that it itself is considered a professional knot because it does not become undone by itself, and therefore pulling it tight on Shabbos would be a prohibited activity. Now, according to there are different opinions of halachically if it's a Torah prohibition or rabbinic prohibition. In all counts, it is a rabbinic prohibition. There are two opinions of what is a biblical prohibition. One says a professional knot, even if you intend to open it at a short time later, the fact that it's a professional knot, that itself is a biblical prohibition. The other opinion is that it has to have, in addition to being a professional knot, it also has to be something that is permanent, meaning when it was being tied, there was no intention, a specific time when it's going to be undone. So in that case, that would make it biblically prohibited. So according to one opinion, it was professional knot, the other one it says professional, and that it's indefinitely being tied. But in all cases, it would be prohibited to tie either to professional, something that is going to be tied with the intention of opening it up, not knowing when it's going to be opened. Now, rabbinically, they say that is not professional, going to be opened within 24 hours, and that would be permissible, and more than 24 hours, that would be forbidden. So what would go into that category? So it's not tying it once, because that could be left indefinitely. Twice, that is prohibited. So now we have that middle tying. Okay. Okay, so now what I made was, I made a bow. I tied it once, I made a bow on top of it. This is a double bow, or I could do the same, making a single bow. What's easy about this is I just pull, and it opens up. However, if I would not pull it, this is something that is different than tying it just once. Tying it just once really doesn't last. When I tie a bow, I tied it tightly, it's not going to become undone. So most people, when they tie their shoelaces and make a double bow or a single bow, it does not, you expect that when you come to your destination, your shoelaces will still be tied, but because it is something that does last. So therefore, this goes into the category of having to be opened. You could tie it with the intention of opening it within 24 hours. So therefore, this would include hair bows, the those who make tichlach, and they, I said, but those who make a hair bow, that make a bow, tying it like this, double bow, single bow. So if you tie it on Shabbos, your intention is to open it within 24 hours. Same would be those who have dresses that have also bows, especially they have it with children, the fancy little dresses with the bows. So again, that to be tied and untied within 24 hours. Another prohibited tying would be taking one end and tying it once and pulling it tight. What would happen to this? Would it open on its own? So this again would be the same as a double knot with two ends. Tying it at the end of one string, that itself is considered a prohibited action. So therefore, people would tie when you have a hood, you have the strings that are in the hood. If it would not have the knots at the end, it would just come right through. So people would knot it at the end. Doing that on Shabbos, knotting it or unknotting it at one end, that would be prohibited. The same would be if you have a plastic bag. What would be the permissible way of tying the end of a plastic bag? What would be prohibited? So we're speaking about a bag, let's say it's a garbage bag, or a plastic bag that has a lot of leeway to it. No bags here. Okay, so let's see what could be done with a bag, plastic bag. Let's take a garbage bag. There's no bag around. Okay. Okay.
That's mine.
Wait, so could we just pass it up?
I put it there.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Now we have our plastic bag and tying it once. Permissible or not?
Yes.
Permissible, even if I throw it out, it's never going to be untied. That is permissible because this itself was not considered a knot. No. You need the bag? Okay. Okay, you see it sticking out over here. So what did I make? A slip knot again. Doing this, permissible or not? Permissible. I could throw it out. Don't have to undo it. That is fine. Now, okay, I made a knot, a double knot. That is not permissible. This would be considered making it knot on Shabbos. And most people, when they do tie up their garbage bags, this is what they'll do and throw it out, right?
Yeah.
So on Shabbos, no, you just made a knot. And it's especially, first of all, I made a double knot. So that itself is prohibited. Then this knot is not going to become undone. I don't intend to open it up after Shabbos to open it up. So I did it. It says, so this is really a forbidden tying that has two negative things. First of all, it's a double knot. And second of all, it is not going to be untied because when I wanted to tying the garbage and trying to throw it out. The question.
Okay, so shoes do not on Shabbos. So what are other things that?
So let me finish with this, and then we're going to get back to the shoes. Okay, now, so this was so our double knot. Now it's out. Now,
Why is there 24 hours?
Hmm?
Why is the
24 hours means it's not permanent.
hours?
It's not, so we say you cannot tie something on Shabbos that's considered tying to be left for a long time. So 24 hours is the timeline. If it's going to be undone within 24 hours, then it's not permanent. If it's more than 24 hours, we consider that rabbinically permanent, even though it's only 24 hours. Now, so before I made a slip knot, now I'm not making a slip knot, now I'm pulling once on the end of the bag. So this is forbidden or permissible. It is permissible or not? Want to tie it again? Should I tie it again? Okay, I'm taking two ends and I'm making a knot with both of them together. I'm not tying it this way, but I just made it on the end of the bag, took both ends of the bag and made a knot on it. One knot. Permissible or not?
Permissible.
Is it permissible if you intend to take it?
Now let's look what I did over here. When I did this, was that permissible or not?
No.
This is the same thing with here. Instead, I did not take the two ends and tie them together. I took both ends together. This becomes like one spring. This both becomes the same. And when I pull this tight, this is not going to become undone. This is going to be a knot on one end. The fact that I took both ends doesn't make it different than this. Just like this is forbidden, this is the same story. What I did before was I made a slip knot. I did not put it all the way through. Before I did a permissible thing, I took the ends, and instead of putting it all the way through, I just put it through halfway. And I left the end out. This was permissible because now I want to open it. It's open.
Does it matter like what you're making the knot on?
No? It could be a ribbon. It could
Because
be.
like that
Yeah.
like one-sided knot, like you can take that, you can take that.
I know, but not if I pulled it very tight. If I really pulled it tight, it would not come out very easily. But so we consider it as spring. So the bag would go into the same category. So so those are the different kinds that we have. Now, back again now to tie. Yes.
What if those bags that, like, for bread, for example, they have like little twist ties, things like that? Is that?
The twist ties.
Not
So
twisted?
yes, we do consider that as a knot. Therefore, if you are going to use a twisty, wrap it around like this.
Okay.
If you're going to use also the twisties, sometimes if you just cross it over, if it's a good, if it's a good metal, crossing it over once will keep the bag.
Only like this,
That's
right?
right, right.
Not like
Yes.
that.
That's right. So you have it though, if you buy anything in the Albany Bakery on Friday, they do it properly. Yes, what they do is they just turn it around, then at the end they just cross it over. So in that case, it keeps it tight and you're able to open it on Shabbos. I don't know with other, I had challah this week. I always assumed that it was coming from Albany Bakeries. I did not look for twisties before Shabbos. And this time it was the twisty that actually really tight. So what I did was I pulled on it. And as I was pulling, the twisty kept going. It wasn't made very tight. So as I was pulling it, the twisty kept going higher and higher and higher. And then I gave a pull and the twisty came. So that was my experience. You see, I'm very, I have different experiences that I'm able to share with the class with things that are very unusual, but they come up specifically, I guess, so I could share it with the class that there's some unusual things that Halacha says could happen, and most people say will never happen. And then it happens to me, and I say, well, things that people say won't happen could happen. I think I shared it once with the class, my different experiences. No? Okay, I'll just tell you some things that I can think of. It says that when you have the bell peppers, It says you should check them for worms. How many of you have found a worm in a bell pepper? Never. Neither did I, but I was teaching it to the class. And I'm saying to myself, well, that's what it says. That's what I'll say. And guess what? That week, I opened a bell pepper, and it was something that was not, mistaken. It was a really hefty worm. So that was one experience that I had. Another experience was I was teaching at the same time I was teaching about speaking about in the carp sable. Familiar with carp sable fish? It's they serve it at simchas sometimes. It's like sliced fish. It's white. They usually silver it with locks, with the white fish, the goldfish. And then they also have carp sable. So it says there that you have to look out for the carp sable because there's a white worm in the flesh. And I said, I've been eating carp sable and never noticed any white worms in the flesh. And sure enough, there it was. So, so that's I'm saying that I don't think it's something that's very usual, but Hashem helps me. And I can share it with the class. So now I shared how I opened up the bag of the challah. So what one should do is check how, if you're buying challah in a bag, some of them only have that little clip that goes on it. It's like a white little clip that goes on. So that could be removed, that's no issue. If it is a twist, you can check before Shabbos. It's the same thing with the open all. So open all glued things and all closed things that you want to use for Shabbos, all cans, everything should be open before Shabbos. That would include all the nosh bags. They're glued on top, the potato chips and the pretzels and all the other nosh that you have. They should be designated someone to open up all of these items, especially if it's boxes. You have the crackers that are in the boxes. You have the cereal, cold cereal that's in the boxes. They're glued together. We're going to have, that's the malacha of sewing and unsewing, gluing and ungluing. So in that category, we're going to cover that. But since we're speaking about this, cans especially, you want to have something that's in a can, beans or corn or whatever it may be. So there should be someone who's designated to open up all of these items before Shabbos. That would be somebody's chore. Okay, let's.
3 questions. With gifts, can you also open up that plastic?
That should be opened up before Shabbos.
When
we come to that malacha of building, unbuilding, we'll cover that.
And then if with challah, you also just rip open the bag, get another bag.
Yes. Yes. So
Is there a problem
with
with
ponytails, the ponytail itself is, I don't see a malacha that is there. It's gathering the hair together. It's not braiding it in any special way. Ponytail could be used on Shabbos and could be removed. Yes.
I thought I had read something and I found it in here too that when you're pouring food out in the sink, like the little strainer that you have in the sink, it's okay because the
Yes.
food that you're pouring out is waste.
Yes.
So why can't we apply that to the garbage that you're tying? But not
It's two separate malachas. One malacha is separating one item, a mixture. So you have the water, you have the waste. So there, you're just getting rid of everything. Over here, we're not looking at what's the contents of the bag. We're looking at how you're tying the bag. So it's a forbidden nut. Makes no difference. It's the tying. It's the tying that we're concerned about. It doesn't make a difference what's inside. It's the tying itself that's the issue.
And then if you tie your shoes, untie it before you go out, or do you forget to untie it?
Okay. Now let's look at a question, a very good question. And the question is, what's the story with the shoelaces? With our bows, double bow, single bow, what is the story with them? So it goes according to the intention when it was first tied. Many people, when they tie their shoelaces, at the end of the day, to remove the shoe, they undo the bow, and that's how they take their shoes off. Then there are those who have something that's called like boat shoes. They're like you slip your foot in, you slip your foot out. So with the boat shoes, I'm just giving that type of example. Some people will use it like these shoes, and therefore when they tie it, they don't intend to open it. What they intend to do is use it as their slippers. And therefore, when it becomes undone after a number of days, then they will retie it again. So when someone tied their shoes in the weekday, paid a bow, and their way of how they conduct themselves is that they don't undo their laces at night. They just kick the shoe off, put it back on. So in that case, you could not open it on Shabbos. Because when it was first tied, you did not have an intention to open it within 24 hours. So therefore, those shoelaces could not be untied. You will just wear them again on Shabbos the way you wear them the rest of the week without untying them and tying them tightly. So it goes according to how it was tied originally. Now, what happens if you tied your shoelaces on Shabbos? Your intention should be that you should undo it when you're taking your shoes off. However, if someone did not open it, no transgression is done because it goes according to your intention. When you first tied it, the tying was not a permanent tying, which is more than 24 hours. Your intention was to open it. So in that case, it is, and that is the lifestyle that you have. You usually open up your shoelaces at the end of the day. This time you didn't. It's still, you were too tired. You just kicked your shoes off. So that is fine. You wake up the next day. It's more than 24 hours. No transgression was done because when you tied your shoelaces on Shabbos, you were going to do what you normally do, that you undo your shoelaces on, at the end of the day. Now, what do we recommend with a garbage bag? So we recommend that you tie it once. That should hold the garbage. It should not, it should be contained inside. The garbage bags are such that they do hold on. So that's what's recommended. Making a bow and then remembering to undo it after Shabbos is not recommended because most people will not remember their garbage bag to undo it. It's going to be left that way, it's going to be thrown out. So we go according to what most people do. So therefore, recommended is to tie it once, and then after Shabbos, you want to put it out, you tie it, however you would like to. Yes.
Just to clarify, that the shoelace, if you don't knotting it, if you have intentions to get out at the end of the day, is okay.
Yes. Okay, so again, we have our shoelace. We're going to make a bow. So we can either make it twice, or we can make it once.
And then what if you tie it again?
Now we come, that's a very good question.
That's what I do.
Now, on Shabbos, that should not be done.
That should not.
That should not be, because once you tie it a second time, a second bow, that itself is already fortifying
Just another, like,
a bow on the top of a bow.
my shoe right now has.
So let's see what a bow on top of a bow without a knot. So if it was, let me see how we do it over here. A bow and a bow, let's see. Okay, so a bow and a bow and a bow and a bow and a bow could be done because when you pull it, it all comes back to the first one. So that could be done. A bow and a bow and a bow and a bow, but not to make a knot on top of the bow.
So like, okay, you see the loop fees that
You loop, yeah. You loop, you keep
And
looping.
then you loop it again.
Loop it. What's going to, but when you pull it, it's going to,
It doesn't.
it doesn't come undone, so that cannot be done. It can only be, only if when you pull the end, when you pull the end, it should undo itself.
If it doesn't.
Then it's not, and then that's considered like a
You
knot.
can't tie your shoe that way
That's correct.
on Shabbos.
That's correct. So, but so if you keep making, so if this is long enough, if this is long enough, what I want to do is make something that I'm going to just make a bow and a bow. Let's see. Let's see if I can manage this. Make a double bow. So here we have once, big bow. We're gonna make a bow on top of this. A single bow. Now what I want to do, undo it, I just pull and it comes all undone. So I can make a bow on top of I made a bow, I'll make another bow, and then when I pull it, everything will open up. So experiment and see if you're able to get it that way. And that usually with children, the laces undo, when you do that. Also, it matters what kind of material the laces to begin with. Some of them hold, and some of them always have to check to see that they don't. Yes.
You said if you tie it with the intention to untie it later, but you forget, it's okay because it's your habit to untie at the end of the day.
That's correct.
But what if it's the other kind of shoe where you only retie it like every few days when it comes undone? If
So-
it comes undone on Shabbos, you can't retie it?
No, then just starting from the beginning. When it came undone, you had the loafers, boat shoes, the loafers. You tie them during the weekday. Your intention was not to open it that day. Now it comes on Shabbos. They become undone. So now you start to begin with. You do on Shabbos whatever. You start from this is the beginning now. You decide what you want to do. The shoe is now undone.
But the
You
intention,
yourself was not, you yourself did not do anything to untie the shoe on Shabbos. It became undone. Now you have shoes as if you're putting them on to begin with open laces.
so you should like think to yourself, their intention is to untie it later.
Yes.
But what if it's forget, that one?
Also, it goes according to the intention.
Okay.
Goes according to the intention. So, so now we have the, see the kerchiefs, kerchiefs. Now with tying a double knot on a coat. Now, when you tie a double knot on a coat, the second knot is just there to keep it in place. I don't think anyone pulls the second knot on their coat that you really would have trouble undoing it. Am I correct? It's made loosely, it's only meant to be kept in place. So in that case, it's not considered double knot. The double knot would be when you're actually pulling it tight. There are those who make
But it doesn't get out easily.
right. I mean, but it's not,
I have to work on it.
you do have to, so don't pull it that tight. Not-
Yeah, not tight,
not
but
tight.
but it doesn't come
No, it's not the same.
easily.
I know it's not the same as this.
But you can also.
So when I do it the second time, see over here, it matters what you're doing. If it's something that usually, when you pull it tight, it's meant to be very hard to open, and therefore trying to open it would really be a big effort. That would be the knot that is forbidden. However, if you make the double knot on a coat,
Leave the second loose.
you have to leave the second one loose. Because
Then it's allowed.
yes, because it's a coat.
Ah,
Because it's a coat. Because it's a coat. Because a person does not tie it that tight on a coat that would be meant to be left on that way. You're not going to be able to open your coat unless you sleep in your coat. But other than that, a coat is not meant to be closed tightly, and it should be remain.
And that also a dress.
A dress, the
women dress.
The same thing would also be there as well. So a woman's dress, if you want to make it a bow, that would be our number one. If you want to make the double one, again, we're assuming that you're again going to be removing the dress. Therefore, when you make the second one, you should not make it tight. You just have to start, taking it, 5 minutes to open it up because you pulled it too tight. So this is something that others will be careful not to tie a double knot to begin with, because in different situations it becomes prohibited. Sometimes it's permissible. They don't want to get into all of these areas, so they stay away from.
Never use to.
That's right. So some people will never not use a double knot, even on the coat, because so they'll only tie it once. It'll stay closed usually. So that would be. Okay, let's see now. Let's see what we have. On top. Oh, what happens if you tied your shoes and you tied it with a bow. You tied it with a bow on Friday, afternoon. When it comes time to take your shoes off, you see that your bow turned into a double knot. So can we open it? So this would be according to the circumstances. We don't expect you to go to sleep in your shoes. So in that case,
Can I just take out the
Yes,
shoes
yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
opening?
that's correct. That would be our first choice. If you can remove the shoes without opening them and then use them that way with a shoot horn, then that would be our number one choice. If you find it that with difficulty to be able to take them off, then you would be permitted to open up the double knot, even though normally opening a double knot is prohibited, because whatever is forbidden to tie, you cannot untie. But in this case, this was something that was done inadvertently, and therefore, because of tsar, because of uncomfort, so the Rabbanan relaxed their prohibition under. So it's something that to begin with, it was put into halacha under those circumstances. In case of a tie, what could one make this? Could you make this on Shabbos? So it matters. There are different kinds of knots that are made here. You have the ones that are the same as a slip knot, where you just pull it, it opens up. If you take it off your head, you pull it. And then there's those that are made doubly, that when you pull it, it becomes into a knot. That cannot be done on Shabbos, cannot be undone on Shabbos, unless it's one that when you pull it, it becomes like a slip knot that just opens up.
Rabbi?
You know how they're making it. Yes.
Hi, I have a question. What about the knots for the gartel?
So that is only one. It only goes once through. We have for davening, the men put on their black belt because they're going to fight their Yetzer Hara. So their black belt. Okay, I just want to show. The question was: is there any? What's the issue with putting on a gargle? So the way it's done is it's a slip knot. So it only goes this way. If you were to take it off, it becomes unraveled. So it's holding on because of the pressure. But other than that, it's not a knot in any way. So that would be okay. Tova, got the answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this is chapters. We've done chapter tying and untying, page 219 through 229. So that is read them. We have a lot of different information that I did not cover. So no, it's the same over here. It's page 219 through 229. It's two chapters. So read them in case there's anything that we did not cover. So we'll okay, so our next topic is sewing and tearing. And if you want to read it ahead of time, so do so, and then we could discuss it. So there are those who came in later in class that came early enough to be considered that they're present. So let's see. Yeah. Raise Connor. Okay. And
Shayna, Greenstein.
Sarah. So, tight skin?
Green side.
I know what your name is. You're straight ahead. That's straight ahead. Yeah. Huh? Circa. Okay. 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 Have a wonderful day. A good Chodesh. Chodesh Tov.
Thank you.
Someone left their watch. Is this masculine, feminine? One of the teachers. I mean, what the women wear? The women wear this size?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay, your bag is intact. You can use it for Shabbos. Okay. Thank you. And
I have a question.
just let me ask Josephine tomorrow. Is anyone, is she in other classes? Josephine tomorrow?
Maybe she wants
Josephine?
Josephine, yeah.
Might be here later.
I'm just, okay, tell her that I bring her a special book when I come, and she's never here to use it.
I'll let her know.
Let her know. Okay, I gave her a book, and she can leave it with the, okay, yes.